Good morning. It's 7 a.m., middle of February outside of Seattle. It's been cold and wet for a couple of weeks, but today's going to be cool and dry. So it's a good day. I'm going to show you how to make perfect coffee. And I mean perfect coffee because this setup allows you to control all the variables that matter to get exactly the kind of coffee that you want. Each individual will have the opportunity to do exactly what they want in terms of choosing beans, grinding them either way, water temperature to within a degree or two, and using the AeroPress as the primary vehicle for making the coffee. About a year ago, the Cuisinart Keurig that my father bought us died, and it occurred to us how extraordinarily expensive and wasteful the Keurig process is. More than that, we were making the same coffee basically. I mean, there were a few variables with the Keurig, but not much. What we found is that my wife and I both really want different kinds of coffee, and we moved to this setup, and this is the basic minimum setup that will give you the kind of things that you need. And like I said, this is a Cuisinart grinder from Costco. Very, very inexpensive. I think it was 30 or 40 bucks. It's got ceramic wheels. It does a credible job. You can spend a whole lot more and get a little bit better. This is a HowTo hand grinder that my wife uses, and she gets exactly what she wants. In fact, this is the best grinder available. The problem, of course, is that it's a hand grinder and it takes minutes to grind a cup of coffee's worth. This is a Bonavita kettle, which gives you very, very precise control over the temperature of the water. This is the hotter the water, obviously, the more extraction of oils and deeper flavors there is in the coffee. The cooler the water, the longer you can steep it, the smoother perhaps the coffee is going to be. The big point is you get exactly what you want as for your particular tastes. This is a AeroPress. We're going to use it in the upside down mode. And this is obviously the top. Now I use paper filters. We also have a metal filter. The metal filter allows a significant amount more of the oily substances to come through, but it's a little more trouble. So it's a convenience factor, and it's pretty heavy-duty coffee as it is. So I'm not going to use it today. So the process is pretty straightforward. You take the kettle, warm up the AeroPress, warm up your cup. Go through and pre-wet, and rinse the filter a little bit. Be careful not to burn yourself. One of the problems with the Bonavita is you've got to constantly remember to re-turn it on after you pick it up, or else it gets cold again. I've already pre-ground the coffee. This is just Costco Colombian Coffee. Oh, I've got a timer here. And that's basically all it takes. But notice that I've got complete control over everything. I've got complete control over grind and time, choice of coffee, temperature of the water, and how long I let it steep, and also how much coffee I put in here. And I'm telling you, this makes coffee as good as it can get. In fact, if you go online, you'll see that there are hundreds of competitions where people use a scale and go into very, very precise processes to extract exactly what they want to make their best cup of coffee in competitions. And this is essentially this, and this is essentially what they use. They add a milligram scale, and that's about it. But this whole setup is just a little bit more than a little under 150 bucks. So though it's expensive, it's cheaper than a Keurig, and it gives you much, much better coffee. Okay, so we've heated up the AeroPress. The scooper at the AeroPress gives you is actually quite amazing. You don't actually dump. you just rotate. Now the critical part of this is to make sure you get zero coffee on the lip of the AeroPress where the filter is going to go. And the reason for that is if you don't get that totally sealed, it's going to make a mess when you actually start up the coffee. Alright. Now I go for about a 2-minute steep. Get a spoon. I even preheat the spoon. Now this forms kind of a cake at the top, so I like to push it down and stir it in. Again, being extraordinarily careful not to get any coffee around the edge. If you do, any granules or anything, it's truly a mess. And you need to go ahead and just rinse them, even though it's standing there and you're spilling water on the top. Now your AeroPress is going to be a little different than any others, but you'll start to notice exactly how far the edge of the top goes, and that'll tell you whether or not you fully sealed it. You really need to make sure that this is fully sealed before you go forward. So like I said, for me it's 2 minutes total. We're at about 1:10. Let's see. Again, there's really nothing that you can't do with this setup. This is not a great grinder. It does produce a little more variability than I'd like, but I'm grinding it reasonably fine, and it works pretty well. We're very happy with it. If you really want to be a purist, and my wife is playing the purist these days, the HowTo gives you exactly what you can get. You could spend hundreds of dollars on a grinder and you won't get anything better in terms of the grind. What you will get is you don't have to spend 3 or 4 minutes grinding the coffee yourself. So here we are at 1:59. Let me dump the water out of the cup. Now over it goes. Now here's the flaw in this process. This thing becomes very unstable for a few seconds and could potentially come loose. But if you hold on and you're careful, don't press real hard. In fact, I'm just using the weight of my arms and a little bit of pressure, very slowly. Like I said, if you hadn't sealed under here, the coffee will actually come squirting out the sides here, and you'll get a little rundown on the side of the cup. It can be very messy, but if you're careful, as you can see, this can be a very good process. Oh, don't forget to restart the kettle to make sure you have the hottest water possible. Now, the coffee that I'm making here is so strong. That was 2 whole AeroPress scoops. The coffee is so strong that it's not drinkable. Push out the air through the system. So I'm actually going to do an Americano, essentially, where I add water after the fact. So I dump the used coffee, nice and clean. Oops. Ready for the next person. 1, 2, 3. Now, friends, I tell you, this is as good as it gets. Let me check and let you know. That is, it's just amazing. It's complicated. It's because of the way I do it with so much coffee, such hot water. and 2 minutes of brew time. It's got a lot of bitterness, a lot of flavors. If you make the water a little cooler, use a little less coffee, maybe brew a little longer, you'll get a completely different cup of coffee. And the point is, you can get exactly what you want using this basic setup around the AeroPress as a coffee making system. Enjoy.